When Honda originally designed the new Civic, they never intended to make a roomier estate model. But here we are with a pre-production prototype of the new Civic Tourer, which is set to be unveiled at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Basically, it's been engineered and designed by Honda Europe, so it's a chance for them to show Japan what it can do. We're here to find out about some of the new technologies involved, including adaptive suspension, and take a closer look at how it's shaping up. Honda won't give us an exact figure for the size of the boot yet, but they are saying it's going to be over 600 litres, and that should be class leading. They've also raised the boot floor slightly compared to the 5-door, so there's a completely flat loading bay once the seats are folded. And, like the 5-door, with a couple of easy movements, you can flip up these seat bases, which makes it a lot easier to carry tall items here in the back. And that should give it a distinct advantage over more conventional rivals, like the Skoda Octavia Estate and the Ford Focus Estate. The news gets even better when you're sat in the back as well. This longer roofline means that there's a lot more headroom than there is in the 5-door, and as you can see, I'm 5'11", I've got a couple of extra inches, whereas the headline was always resting on my head slightly in the 5-door. And, unlike the 5-door, there's no spoiler across the rear screen, so the visibility's improved a lot too, although the C-fillers are a bit thick, and you do notice that coming out of junctions. So today we've been given the chance to drive two different versions of the new Honda Civic Tourer. They both come with a 1.6 litre D-Tech engine, which at the moment they're not telling us how efficient it is, but the one I'm sitting in now comes with ADS suspension. Now that's a new adaptive damping system just that acts on the rear axle. Because it's with the Tourer, it's supposed to help with when you've got heavy loads in the back, when you're carrying a trailer, but also just in normal driving. You've got three different modes to choose from. First is normal, and then you've got comfort and also a dynamic mode, and it alters the amount of current that goes through these rear dampers to stiffen them up, which changes the handling characteristics accordingly. There's a real big change actually. Between normal and comfort is where you feel a real difference. We've been testing out on the Autobahn here in Germany, and over high speed longer crests you really feel a reduced amount of bump from the springs front and back. The difference in dynamic mode is a little bit smaller, if I'm honest. You do feel it stiffen up slightly, but it doesn't transform it into a sports car, it just gives you a bit more choice. But Honda is saying that because this system only uses dampers on the rear wheels rather than all the way around, it's going to be a lot less expensive than the same sort of systems you get in either, say, an Astra or a Golf, which means that you as the customer have to pay less for it as an option. At the moment this is only a pre-production car, the official unveil is going to be next month, so they're not too keen for us to talk much about interior trim or anything like that. But what I can tell you is that the 2.2 litre diesel is probably going to be dropped for the Tourer, so it'll only be the 1.6 from now on. The engine, if I'm honest, although it's smooth and it revs very cleanly, it's quite noisy at low speed. Here if I accelerate, you can hear it starts to intrude a little bit on the cabin. So it's not perfect, but I have to say the NVH in this car is a lot better than the CR-V, the off-road car with a 1.6 as well. Somehow they've just managed to keep it a bit quieter in the Civic, which is good. They're also keeping quite tight-lipped about the boot space, but what I can tell you is that this estate model has a different setup for the springs, the dampers and the steering, and even in the car without the adaptive system, it feels a lot better to drive. The weighting on the steering is much more consistent, so when I turn the wheel, it's got a nice meaty weighting all the way around. There's no lightness on dead ahead like you get in, say, a Kia SW or something like that. The gear change is as tight as it ever was, and the ride actually feels really nice. We haven't had a chance to try it on too many bumpy roads, but on the roads that we did find today, the normal setup just feels quite nice. Controlled, but comfortable, which is what Honda are aiming for. So there you have it. This might be an early drive of a pre-production prototype, but I personally think that the Civic Tourer is shaping up really nicely indeed. Class-leading boot space, some innovative features that they won't tell us about yet, plus a clever suspension system that offers a real benefit on the road in terms of comfort, make it an enticing package. I just hope that when it comes out, it can be priced close enough to rivals like the Skoda Octavia that it's a true class contender.